All right, thanks. I'm going to turn that around just a little bit with my preview of the week. And I'm not going to turn it on its head, what you've just said, but what I am going to do is give you a different perspective on how to actually judge all of that in terms of the indices. And it's all about looking at this chart, in my humble opinion. It's the dollar index. So a lot of these things will be driven by what the dollar does. And the dollar, I'm looking at the monthly chart here, and the reason I'm looking at the monthly chart is actually you and I spoke about this level a long time ago, probably weeks and months ago. It's 113. It's the last line of defense for the world against the US dollar, in my humble opinion. So if it gets through here, it's going to this level here, it's going to challenge these highs. So to my mind, it is the last line of defense. So we're going to go from 113 to 119. And if you have a look at the smaller time frames, you'll see how hard this market has been trying to get through this level. There it is up there. I don't know why I've got that one, but there's that level there. So it's been struggling its little butt off trying to get through this level, and it just can't. It cannot. And because of the parabolic nature of this move on the US dollar, which is, I've got to bring this level into play. And I've got to be thinking that if it can't get through this 113, then it's coming back to either here or here. I can't quite get that level right, but I'll call it there for now, 109, 110 area. Hasn't been on this trend line for a while, and I'm pretty confident that if we can find a lower high, maybe this is it, I don't know. We've got a reversal bar there, and then we've got all of this mess going on at this 113 level. But I think if we can find a lower high here, we can confidently trade this down to this level. So I think there's plenty of money in there somewhere. We've just got to find the setup, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, that relates 100% to what Ash was talking about, and the fundamentals notwithstanding, I find that the best chart this week is going to be silver. And the reason for that, and we said exactly the same thing last week, it was my chart of the week, I think, where we were up here and we were looking for a lower high to get short. Well, the lower high never came. It just never came. It just sold off and sold off and sold off every single day. But the market structure is currently holding. And one of two things, of course, is going to happen here. It's going to break these lows, or it's going to come back into that range. If it comes back into that range, I'm a buyer of silver. Take that into consideration. Well, this is silver versus the US dollar, right? Take that into consideration when I've just talked about the dollar index and how it's at a strong resistance level, can't get through it. Then I think this may well be a proxy for the US dollar, if you can find a way into this one. So if you can't find a way into the dollar index, then maybe you can find a way into silver long. Now, do I think it's going to reverse and go a million miles? No, I don't. I think it's a range trade, nothing more than that. And I'll be looking to trade certainly to here in the first instance, and maybe even up to here. If it does reverse, then maybe it's worth leaving something on the table to get it way up to here. The other one I find interesting, and this is going to rely heavily on trusting the euro. And I find that very, very difficult to do at the moment. But it's also got to do with not trusting the CAD. And my absolute feeling is, long term, I'd much rather be trading the CAD than I would be trading the euro. That said, the technical situation here is such that I actually placed an order last week on this pair based on this chart, the weekly chart. Hang on, I'll get rid of that. No, I'm
going to need to go, mate. Sorry, I've got to take Molly to gym.
Oh, sorry, mate. Push off. Yep.
All right.
Tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
See you, mate.
Bye, Lenka.
Bye, Ash.
So, this is what happened last week. We had this massive bull bar the week before, and then we had an inside bar the week after, which is, in my world of slingshot trading a buy. So I placed an order long here, stop loss here. Didn't quite get to my entry. Of course, that has now expired. If tomorrow morning I see nothing in terms of a gap, then I'll replace that order long above here, stop loss in the same place. Won't really matter where the stop loss is, because if I'm wrong, it's going to go in the opposite direction, right, and take me out no matter where it is. But I think this is a replica of this one, really, where we broke above the range, came back and retested it, and put in that big bull bar. This is pretty much exactly the same thing. It's now broken the trend line or trade line. It's also broken the previous support level, then come back and retested that exact level. And I think there's a buying opportunity there, as I placed last week. Would I like to reconsider if the market gaps above me? Too late then. I'd have to wait for it to come back. This is now a daily chart, which is far more messy than the weekly. Weekly, I think, is where you need to stick, and just depending on what happens in the morning as to whether I replace that order. There are quite a few on the list that I look at early in the week, and they all involve the pound. Link has been through the pound, and as I said, it's very, very hard one to catch at the moment. You see that setup that I just showed you on Euro CAD, where it broken through the trade line, come back and retested it. Well, pound CAD hasn't broken through the trade line at that point, but now it has. So I'll be looking for exactly the same thing as I saw on Euro CAD to trade this. As I say, as always, one or two things are going to happen. It's going to come back and retest it, or it's going to go. There's nothing surer than that, in my humble opinion. But if it came back below that trade line as a third option, then I'll be looking to trade that short. But at the moment, I'll be looking for a pullback to the trade line. Pound Swiss is another, suggesting that we do go long. Tough to trust at that level. And the reason is because it is retesting a support level. So really tough to go long there for me at the moment. I would have to see price get above that line, come back and retest it. Pound yen, Lenka talked about this one. Weekly chart's telling me to go long. It's impossible for me to go long at this level. It's just not a thing. I can't trade into these highs. So I've got to wait till either one of these, well, sorry, that trend line doesn't exist anymore. That can go. I've got to wait for a false break here to trade it short, or take out the highs, pull back and get there to trade it long. They're the only two options I've got. The reason I'm pointing these out is because they are exactly what I follow each and every week when I do my setups. They're called game changers, and they're based on what the previous week's candle's done. This previous week is suggesting that we go long. On the others, Euro CAD is also suggesting that we go long, and they're the candles that I look for. Don't necessarily trade them as such, but they're giving me a directional bias for the week. So best case scenario is for this to actually pull back and give me a setup on a smaller time frame. Then I can look to trade it in the direction that that candle's pointing. Obviously, it's backing up this massive thing that happened 3 weeks ago. So directional bias there is long. As I say, intrinsically, Euro versus the CAD, no, I'm not thinking long term. It just doesn't make sense to me. There are two others on the watch list. As I said, silver's the best of them, but there are two others on my watch list. One is Euro Swissy, one is Euro Yen. Why? Well, Euro Swissy the week before, reversal bar suggesting that we go short. Then we got an inside bar. Now this to me is crucial. And if you've got a bias based on primary trend, and primary trend is telling me short here, then I look for exactly what we're seeing here. Reversal bar followed by an inside bar. What that's telling me is the bulls could not take out the high. And for that reason, I believe the reversal bar is absolutely poignant. And for that reason, if I didn't get a gap in the market in the morning, or if I don't get a gap in the market in the morning, I'd be placing a short underneath that bar. Stop loss probably above that one. taking profit at the open of that one, leaving something open in case this does go with trend. But that's what I'm seeing here. On Euro Swissy, Euro Yen is, of course, related because the yen and the Swissy are considered to be risk-off currencies. I'm not saying the euro is considered to be risk-on, but you're trading the euro against two risk-off currencies. Impossible for me to trade this as a game changer bar because it's in the wrong direction. I've got no idea why I've got this on here, actually. Scrub that, guys. I've got no interest in trading this at all. I thought it was an inside bar that I was looking at based on exactly the reversal bar and the one we saw on the Euro Swissy. Cancel what I said about Euro Yen. It's not happening. Not going to trade it at all. And that brings us to our conclusion, guys. My best one, as I said, for the week is silver versus the dollar. And if I do see it's come back in here and give me a higher low, particularly on a daily time frame, I'll be looking to trade it long, but I'll be looking to get out up here somewhere because I don't trust this to go long term. I do trust it to go to the top of the range, however, and that's what I'd like to trade. All right, that is the show for the week. Sorry, I have run over a little bit. I do prattle on when I get to talking about charts, of course. That is my nature. Thank you, Lenka, for your insights, as always. Thanks to Ash, who had to dash off and take her daughter to, or his daughter, to somewhere. Can't remember where, probably the beach. And, of course, Sam, thank you for looking after us for the show. Everyone else, thank you for your attendance. Richard, thank you. And have a great week ahead. Bye-bye for now.